G'day everyone, and welcome to the Scoundrel Ring. This is the fourth episode of our Pokemon TCG podcast for Australia and the rest of the world. My name is Bodhi Cutler, and joining me this evening is Alexander Bray.
Hey.
Paul Coletta.
Good evening, everybody.
And our very first guest in our fourth episode is Daniel Collins.
Hey everyone, pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us, Dan. So, what we like to do here, Dan, is we're going to ask you a couple of quick questions. So what I want to know is a little bit about yourself. How did you get started in the Pokemon TCG?
Well, I happened to live in the US when I was like 14, when Pokemon kind of hit the Western world, I guess. So picked up some cards from Toys R Us and just kind of started playing local events and stuff like that.
But then, when did you start playing recently, though, in Western Australia with me?
So, I guess that started in 2012. I kind of had quite a bad accident at work and cut my face open. And the week before, I'd been to
An improvement, I'd say.
Wanneroo markets here. What?
An improvement, I would say.
An improvement. Yeah, you would say that. But yeah, and then I'd been at the markets a week before and seen people playing Pokemon. I didn't even know it was still going, the card game. And while I was in hospital, I just ordered some cards and started playing again, and then started up my own league to try and get it a bit more competitive here in WA. And that's where I met the co-host Alex here, and just kind of built from there. I've been playing ever since late 2012, and our first official event that we attended was 2013 Nats.
So I understand that along with the three of us, you've actually been to Worlds a few times, which it's been a pleasure to be with you at those times as well. Always a good fun. Now, I understand that you, just like our co-host Bodhi here, have attempted to slow down and retire from the game. So how's that working out for you so far?
Yeah, that seems to be the case, that everyone who slows down tends to not actually slow down. So
I was retiring as well.
Yeah, I was trying to slow down last season, but still somehow managed to earn a world invite off like 3 events.
Seems legit.
But but slowing down is, it's good. There's less pressure, and I definitely don't miss jumping on a plane every Friday night at midnight for like 5 weeks in a row during the regionals run. That is something I do not miss at all.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Retirement's been good.
Speaking of jumping on a plane on a Friday night, you feel like you're going to jump on a plane on a Thursday, the March the 9th, and head over to the Melbourne IC that's coming up soon?
Yeah, but for me it'll actually be the Wednesday the 8th that I'll jump on a plane. But yeah, I will be heading... Yeah, whatever. The more time I get to spend with all my friends that I've made over my time in the game, the better. So heading over midnight Wednesday with Alex and a couple others from WA, and catch up with everyone and see if we can hold our own against all the international raiders that I'm sure will attend.
I will definitely destroy them.
I'm very glad that you're here, Dan. As a long-time friend of mine now for the past 4 years, it really has been nice. We were going to get you on for an interview series on Ace Trainer Australia, the new series that I'm running, but it's just as good to get you on the podcast and get some discussion going about what's happening in the world of Pokemon, which brings us to our first topic today, and that is news from Australia and around the world. Our first piece of news today is that Roaring Skies, we found out this week, is getting a reprinted limited run in US stores and probably around the world too, for distributors all around the world. I want to start with you, Paul. What does a Roaring Skies reprint mean to you?
Well, I think it's important for those who might be relatively new to the game and hearing some of this different terminology for the first time. It's not so much a reprint as a new print run, which means that booster packs will be available in stores, but that does mean if the set was to rotate, because it's not a brand new set, you will not be able to use the cards if they rotate out of standard. So, but in saying that, a new print run is, I don't know, for me, it doesn't really affect me too much. I tend to buy singles online, But I suppose in saying that, it may affect the price of some of those particular cards. The most noteworthy one, of course, being Shaman EX, which is ubiquitous in pretty much all decks, barring, I guess, the Greninja decks. So I'd say it allows for potential newer players to ease into the game just that little bit more. It might drop the price of Shaman EX a little bit, and I suppose ease that pressure, but time will tell.
Alex, what does a Roaring Skies reprint mean to you?
Nothing. Legitimately though, like, collectors be like, oh yeah, another chance to like get their cards for cheap, because a lot of the prices of cards are dependent on the players anyway. Because if you only need like one copy of a card, then it won't be as expensive. If you need all 4 copies, that's why Shaman's so high, because everyone runs it in their decks. So it'll make the price go down because it might be easy to get. So collectors will be happy because they might be able to get Shamans for cheaper. But realistically, I know a lot of collectors that just wait until rotation anyway to get a lot of the staples that they need for their collection, all the missing ones, because they wait for it to go cheap. I think Paul said maybe it's easy for newer players. I just look forward to more angry comments from that kid that hates Shaman.
A valid.
Burn the Shaman!
Bad, bad, bad.
the witch.
We need that kid on the internet. We need him on the podcast.
No.
That's what we need.
So Dan,
What does a Roaring Skies reprint mean to you, Daniel Collins? Someone that has not necessarily participated in many premiere events in a while. Does the reprinting and the limited run of Roaring Skies change your behavior when it comes to this game in any way?
It doesn't really change anything for me because I'm lucky enough to already have my shamans, so it's not like I'm desperate to try and get them. I think this is Pokemon trying to, in some way, fix the missed opportunity they had to maybe make a tin of shaman to fix the price issue. If they took Shaman EX and made it a tin promo, we wouldn't have this problem with like $100 full art shamans going around. And I think they're trying to fix that supply demand issue by making this print run when it's, I don't know, like a band-aid fix, I think, for an opportunity they could have done with maybe making it a tin promo instead.
I think that Pokemon's come back from their little Christmas and New Year holiday here, because we haven't really heard anything from them in 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden they pull out, don't worry guys, League Cup promos are all being sent to everybody. Don't worry guys, Roaring Skies is getting a print again. Don't worry everybody, you'll hear more information about all this soon. So maybe they've woken up a little bit and have decided that information to the general public is probably a good idea. When it comes to Roaring Skies getting a reprint, players that have shamans aren't really affected. Maybe it'll drop the price of trainers' mails, and maybe Secret Rare versus Seeker goes down a little bit in price, but these are cards that look like they're going to rotate out of standard come August anyway. Players looking to get in the game and looking to get into expanded format in the US will have an easier time picking up shamans for probably $35, $40 instead of the 60 odd that they are right now. We're going to move on now, guys. Choice Band is a new item released in Japan. It is actually released by winning games in side events in Japanese tournaments. That is how you pick up your Choice Band promos in Japan. It does an extra 30 damage to your opponent's active GX or EX Pokemon, and that is a very important distinction, which I'm very happy to see. But starting with Alex this time, what do you think of Choice Band? Where do you see it sitting when we inevitably get it in English?
Oh, well, before we started recording, I thought you could only attach this thing to a or a non-GX, and now that I've read it and it can attach to an EX, this is so stupid. Like, why would they even print this? This is just, it's one thing that, why would you release GXs that have increased HP more so than EXs, which makes it, a really good reason to play a deck that's like GX based, because it has more HP, and the only item we had was Fighting Fury Belt, which you wouldn't be able to attach to a lot of the GXs anyway, because they're stage 2s or stage 1s, so they don't get past 230. But then they released this tool when we have no tool removal that you can attach to a basic EX that's already 180 HP and lets it deal an extra 30 damage. So now stuff like, I'm going to run this in Volcanion, like holy cow, this is so much better than Fury Belt. Like, I don't even care. Like being able to do an extra 30 damage instead of the extra 10 with Fury Belt, I think is so much more important to hit big numbers, especially like, although you're going to be able to one-shot the Solgaleo because of weakness, I think there's going to be other GXs and just generally against other decks anyway. Like, I'd much rather the Choice Band than the Fighting Fury Belt. I think Vettel could play as well. It's just so stupid. I'm like half angry and half excited.
Dan, our guest, I want to go to you now. What do you think about this card? Is it your first time seeing or hearing this card?
Yeah, I kind of glanced over it when it first got posted up, and I kind of was a bit similar, like Alex, in the regard that I thought, oh yeah, it's just like a Silver Bengal reprint where you couldn't attach it to EXs and you just did the extra 30. But the fact that you can, the fact that this does an extra 30 to like EXs and GXs and can be attached to anything. We thought Muscle Band was broken when we first saw it, when you can combine it with like things like Strong Energy and everything back when Landorus first got printed with when Landorus was out with all the Furious Fist stuff. I don't know, this is on that kind of same level. I feel like they want to, with Sun and Moon, they're trying to like slow down the game once Shaman and everything rotates. And then they bring something like this is where it allows for knockouts to be taken quicker and quicker. I think it's just, I don't know. I think that Pokemon need to decide which way they're going to go, whether they want to slow down the format and have stage 2s, or they want to have, I don't know, just big wars between basics again.
Paul, your thoughts?
So I like this card. I mean, the fact that it can attach to anything, but it specifically targets EXs and GXs is probably fine. Though it does look like we're seeing a minor HP increase on a lot of these new Pokemon come Sun and Moon. I guess the way I see it is, I wonder how people are going to. Oh, I wonder what people are going to cut to fit this in. But basically, I see this leading us towards a way to remove tools. I think this is sort of the start. You know, they're going to slowly bring in something that can deal with it. They're going to release the card, and then they're going to release the hard counter to it or something, you know, in the same way where they printed Hypnotoxic Laser back in Plasma Storm, and then 2 sets later they attempted to patch it up by bringing in the Virizion EX with Verdant Wind. So I think there's a spot for this card in the format, potentially a healthy one, but only because everything can use it. Evolutions can use it too. And because the evolutions have such vast increases in HP over the basic Pokemon, I guess it allows them to deal knockouts a little bit better on those basic Pokemon. So it's kind of like a catch up. The basic Pokemon we're seeing and we intend on reviewing shortly don't exactly have huge attacks, or at least they're not attacks that can easily knock out a GX in one hit. So my biggest concern is, I suppose, Yveltal abusing it, but I don't know how they're going to work with the Fighting Fury Belt and the Choice Band tool. It'll just be interesting to see how they incorporate into decks. So yeah, I mean, I like it. I think it could be healthy for the format, but it's just in a weird spot where we don't have the full reveal yet, and we don't know how or when it's going to be incorporated in. So
I was actually just reading the card again, because it says if you have an EX or a GX in play, you can't play this card. If this card is attached to a Pokemon and an EX or GX is put into play, you have to discard this card.
Really?
Is that right?
Yeah, that's. I think I was just so. That's the second part of it.
Is that right? I could have sworn the translation previously had no mention of that whatsoever.
I'm just on the Pokebeach forums getting this card.
Do you want to quickly link it in if you got it there?
This the Pokemon this card is attached to does 30 more damage to opponent's active EX or GX. If you have any EX or GX in play, you cannot play this card. And if this card is attached to a Pokemon and an EX or GX is put into play, you have to discard this card.
Okay. This guy, so this is a post from a forum member, and I believe he's hypothesizing what the effect should have been.
Oh, really?
He's saying that, he's saying in the sentence prior, he's saying, look, I think it might be too good as is. Maybe we should have balanced it in this way. So I think that's what it was there. So
yeah,
maybe balancing it in the wrong direction, but
That would have been a better way to make the card.
but then you're specifically only allowing non-EXs to use it, which is just the same thing as Silver Bangle. I think they want to try something different there.
I just want Silver Bangle.
Yeah, but hold on. Silver Bangle, oh no, that worked on Plasma Pokemon as well. It's Silver Mirror that I'm thinking of there. That worked against Plasma Pokemon. But yeah, no, look, I think Choice Band is good. The HP cap is going up, and we're getting a new buffing tool. We currently have only Fighting Fury Belt, which is unfair for Evolutions. This is their way of saying Evolutions get something back. But always these things tend to have a way to be abused better by basic Pokemon. We'll see when Sun and Moon is slowly leaking more and more cards if there are in fact evolutions that can better abuse this card than the basic counterparts.
I think it's important to note too that 30 damage is very good for math, especially with attacks that do an even number of damage. Yveltal's Evil Ball is a good example. With 2 energy on your opponent's active Pokemon and 2 energy on yourself, you are doing 100 damage. And with a Choice Band, for instance, against an EX or a GX, you bump that up to 130. Now, 130 doesn't seem like a huge amount against the GX with 250 HP, but if the next turn your Y Cyclone is hitting for 120 damage, equaling that magic number of 250, you do manage to make math a lot easier when it comes to 2 shots. There's going to be lots of talk about Choice Band going forward, when we do get it, how it's going to be played, if there are new decks that can use it. But 30 damage, especially in combined with powerful, even-numbered attacks, is going to be very interesting going forward. The next card we're going to talk about that's been revealed this week is a Psychic Oricorio. This Oricorio was revealed in the Strengthening expansion pack for Sun and Moon, which is Japan's 1.5 Sun and Moon set before their next big set. The Oricorio is a 90 HP Psychic Pokemon for 1 colorless energy. For each Pokemon in your opponent's discard pile, put 1 damage counter on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. So, for example, if your opponent has 10 Pokemon in their discard pile, you are putting 10 damage counters or 100 total damage on your opponent's board in any way you like. Paul, what do you make of this Oricorio in standard and potentially the expanded format too?
I feel like it's definitely got a stronger showing in the expanded format. The fact that both of its attacks are colorless means it's splashable, which is nice. Psychic typing is interesting because it hits a few certain things for weakness. With its second attack, but I suppose the first attack is sort of the main one we're looking at here. People will probably go straight to Night March and think, oh, does this count on Night March? I don't know that it instantly counters Night March because, well, you want to try and target. If you try and target down the active thing, then they just bring up a new active Night Marcher. And if you try and target down their Shaman EX, they need to have 11 Pokemon in the discard pile, and then not. Depends on what this card goes in, but they don't need 11 Pokemon in the discard pile to knock out something with 90 HP, that's for sure. As far as the standard format is concerned, well, I can't think of a deck that really plays over 17 Pokemon. Like, I'm thinking Greninja is sort of the deck that plays the highest count of Pokemon in the deck, barring, I guess, Vespiquen decks. But, yeah, Vespiquen decks can just not put that... depends on what they're against. Because this can be splashed in, it may make some matchups a bit easier for some decks. So I don't know what Vespiquen's good matchups are because I can't really think of any right now. I think Vespiquen kind of has a bad time against a lot of decks.
Greninja.
It has a good time against Greninja.
Yeah.
Well, that's...
It has a good Yveltal and Volcanion matchup too, depending on your tech cards, I suppose.
Yeah, but they just use a striker then, and they wouldn't have to. If they're against Yveltal, they wouldn't have to spam Pokemon to be discarded. So Yveltal wouldn't exactly have a good chance of using this effectively. So if we get something akin to Battle Compressor, where it allows Pokemon to start or decks to start abusing discard mechanics again, in order to build up big, I don't know, Bee Revenge or Night March type attacks, then this card might be better. But I think we likely are to see it more in expanded than in standard. Personal opinion.
Alex, what do you think?
Card is trash.
Okay.
Dan, what do you think?
But just to quickly, like what Paul said. Okay, so it's really good against decks that have to have things in the discard. Only one attacker in the game right now that does that, and that's Vespiquen. Okay, so the deck that you want to play this in is something that has a tough time against Vespiquen. Okay, what deck is that? That's like anyway good. Oh, it's Greninja. Okay, what does Greninja do? It already can snipe things on the bench anyway. So what's the point? Literally, what's the point?
Because you can snipe to set up stuff with this.
But like
don't have to, like,
you
snipe.
have to knock
You don't
out
have to snipe.
Vespiquens all the time. Like you can't just leave a Vespiquen there.
I do agree with you. I do agree. Well, the consensus is that currently there's going to be a lot of decks going forward that are playing very high counts of Pokemon. Of course, in decks like Decidueye, you're going to be playing 4/4/4 Decidueye. In Lurantis, you're going to be playing 4/4, and then you're going to be playing 6 to 8 attackers plus setup Pokemon. There's always a chance that one energy cost attack for 100 damage is going to be relevant at some point in the future. I think it's a very interesting card. Maybe it's a bit too late to be revealed to see any play, but going forward there might be an option. Dan, you were saying?
Yeah, I think it could be used as like a finisher, like you said, where like 100 or 110 damage late game to take, I don't know, a final 2 prizes off something like a Shaman. It can win you a game. So I think late game like that, once everyone's struggling to finish the game off, it could just come in for 1 energy and just take 2 prizes and end the game and steal you a win. But like you've said, other than that, I think it's a very niche card at the moment.
All right, guys, we're going to move forward now. The pre-release promos for the English Sun and Moon set have been revealed to be Shiinotic, Passimian, Oranguru, and Bruxish, aka anyone that wants any of the 3 good ones is going to get a Bruxish, which is very disappointing. But this is a trend that Pokemon has been using recently where they're printing pretty good cards in the pre-release slot, which is nice to see. Paul, what do you think about these pre-release promos?
I look forward to collecting all 4 of them, but shy of that, I don't know. There's not too much to say. The artwork looks nice, I suppose. Oranguru is probably going to be the clear-cut favorite of the lot, so get in while you can. But in saying that, I'm pretty sure all the pre-releases worldwide now get the treatment of your 4-card booster pack, 4 booster packs along with the 22-card pre-made decks. So you get what you get, I suppose. You don't get a pre-release promo at the end. I like Oranguru. That's probably the best one. And Shiinotic is probably the second best one. Passimian has some niche spots somewhere probably. And Bruxish is steaming pile of crap outside of the pre-release.
Alex, your quick thoughts on these 4 pre-release promos.
Paul, I swear to God, if you call it Oranguru one more time, I'm going to neck myself.
It's guru.
It's an orangutan. It's Oranguru.
Okay, well then you say evil Tal.
Oh my God.
We're not getting into this. We're not getting into it, boys.
We are. Okay, no, yeah. I just want Oranguru. That's it. Oh, maybe Shiinotic. I just want like 1 of each. If I don't get it, I'll cry.
Thank you.
Prepare to cry.
Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think... you're now going to be scared about how I say this now. So it's Oranguru? Is that the correct pronunciation? Is that what
Yes.
That's Alex's.
All right.
Just wait till the anime.
I just have to keep the other misses happy. Like, it's between Chloe and this guy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, otherwise, like Paul said, Shiinotic's another one that would be useful. Like, always searching for, like, the correct energy in a pre-release is always nice. So if you need that grass energy specifically, and then obviously auto sleep in a pre-release is amazing. Any auto special condition in a pre-release is something you want in your deck.
Yeah, it's usually
even
pretty
Shinra
helpful.
would be nice to have.
I think there's a lot of sleeping on Persimmon right now. I think it's quite a good card and may very well see quite a lot of play in the future, depending on what happens with the deck and if a solid list can be built from it, especially with the potential prevalence of fighting weak Pokemon like Darkrai coming back into the format quite heavily, and Psychic weak Pokemon like Mega Mewtwo EX to use Mew's ability for just a double colorless to knock it out. Moving on now, guys, we're just going to quickly mention my Weekend League Challenge that I mentioned in the last episode. I said that I would play Greninja, and I did. And Paul, how dare you? And I managed to place first considering I was playing Greninja. I know.
Yep.
In a field of 5 Houndoom Mills, that must have taken very, very much skill.
It would have only been 5 Houndoom Mill if me and 4 friends had played Houndoom Mill, Alex.
So how many Houndoom Mill were in the field?
1, thankfully.
Oh, okay.
Which
But there were
explained
like
the
3 or
blocks in
4
my deck.
Volcanion, weren't there?
None that I played against. I can quickly go over my matchups if you'd like. Round 1, I played against Glaceon, Jolteon, Lugia, Garbodor. Round 2, I played against Yveltal, Garbodor. Round 3 against Rayquaza, Jolteon. Round 4 against the Greninja Mirror Match. And round 5 against Scizor, Garbodor.
Okay, so besides the last round, which presumably was an ID, how exactly did you beat the Garbodor decks? Or did they just not set up Garbodor?
The best way to beat Garbodor is to build the deck in the same vein that it was built for the London event. Playing cards like Enhanced Hammer and Team Flagrant, as well as a heavy line of Max Potion, is a very, very strong way to beat Garbodor, because you don't particularly need, if you're playing that kind of build, you don't really need your Giant Water Shuriken, because you're either going to 2-shot or 3-shot everything, regardless.
Okay.
Greninja's in a really good spot right now, and I think that the Giratina promo is a good card, but it's actually not going to do anything to Greninja. And I think we'll see going forward that Greninja is going to continue to be really good. Maybe less so with this this grass influx, this influx of 3 or 4 good grass Pokemon going forward. I think that is going to be more of a stopper to Greninja than the Giratina promo.
The grass just turns it into a triangle between Greninja, Volcanion, and the grass stuff.
Hooray!
So yeah, that's what all the grass stuff will do.
Yeah.
Just turn it into a triangle and then just have a Vettel where it's 50-50 against the field as usual.
Oh, Greninja gets...
The choice band, and now I can one-shot a Fury Belted Volcanion. La 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 la.
Doing 110 twice in a row to anything with a Fury Belt or any Mega is going to be very powerful as well. So 220 is the perfect numbers for a lot of things.
You know what 110 is the perfect number for, boys?
Hit a
Shaman
score.
EX.
Oh, yes, it is.
Lysandre, Moonlight Slash, Shaman EX for a one-hit knockout, and I'll just use my shurikens literally anywhere else.
And then they hit you for 160, and then you max potion it all the way, and you just keep going.
Oh, it's disgusting.
I think Greninja, while we're talking about it just very quickly, Greninja is
Looking
poised.
for 4 Vespiquen?
Looking to buy 4/4. Need
Looking
4
for 4
reverse.
Jirachi?
Yeah, 4 reverse hollow Forest of Giant Plants, please.
That's fair. Might have some hand. Speaking of League blank, Bodhi, don't you have a League Cup coming up?
I do, actually. It is the day after the Sun and Moon pre-releases in Australia, which is the 28th, and my League Cup is the 29th, which is on the same weekend as Alex's, actually. So we'll be able to talk about both of our League Cup experiences the week after that event.
You watch me
so
go 0-4.
They moved it all the way to the end. I thought they had it this weekend or next weekend.
Me
Maybe,
too.
maybe I should be
we
back
have
on that episode to replace Alex.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a successful League Cup.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll talk about someone who can actually win a tournament.
Damn, son. Come on, guys. Come on, this is a friendly podcast. We're all friends here.
It's friendly banter.
All right, Dan, you
Dan
fit in
and I-
too
Sorry,
well.
I wasn't listening. I was too busy looking at my day to invite.
Stop it.
Stop
it.
Much doesn't Anyway, so next topic, eh?
All right, we're
It
gonna
was
go
the
on.
correct metacore.
Congratulations, Alex. All right, we're gonna move on to our main topic now, guys, which is
So toxic.
5 scans of the Pokemon Sun and Moon set that we missed last week. So we're going to go over them together, and we're going to go over them very quickly because we wanted this episode to be a little shorter. The first card we're going to talk about is Lapras Gx, 190 HP GX Pokemon. Water Energy, draw 3 cards. 3 Water Energy, 160 damage. This Pokemon cannot attack the next turn. Automatic Paralysis for 2 Water and a Colorless that does 100 damage is the GX attack. Dan, we're going to start with you. What do you think of Lapras? Your quick impressions.
It's painful because I love Lapras as a Pokemon, and it's just not good. It's a water for draw 3, which Kangaskhan used to have on an EX for a colorless, and then you can't attack for 3 water and 160. It's just not that good. Even the auto paralysis, 100 damage just isn't enough once in a game. So yeah, it's just not that good, I don't think.
Alex, what do you think?
It's so much energy, and it's only like 160. What even is that? And then the GX attack is the one where it's like paralyzed, but it's just, I don't understand. Who makes these cards? Like, 3 water, 160, and then it can't attack next turn. And then they're like, what we'll do is we'll take off 60 damage, but given the auto paralyzed, but you can only use this attack once per game. Oh, but don't worry, it's 2 water and 1 colorless, so it makes it way more like.
It's more enticing.
Like, honestly, I think if you because is this a promo?
No, it's part of the main
It's
set.
with the set. If you pull this in pre-release, outside of that, no thanks. Binder bait. That's not even good bait. It's just sit in the binder. Get in the binder, Lapras.
Yeah, I can't see. Paul, do you have any alternating thoughts on Lapras GX?
Not really. I was going to say, as someone who's played a deck where auto paralysis is king, not being able to stream the paralysis turn after turn is like a real downfall. I mean, it's a relatively strong attack for auto paralysis, but then you don't get to do it ever again in that game. It's like, well, maybe you can use it to swing a turn, but Switch exists, and Escape Rope is a card that people play, and Zoroark from Breakthrough exists. It's like, there's too much running against it at the moment for it to be really worth it, honestly. And I sound like a broken record, but if a GX attack doesn't swing the momentum enough in a game, it's probably not worth using. Other than that, it's good for pre-release.
I have nothing else to say about Lapras, so we're going to move on, guys, now to Taurus Gx, which is another basic GX of the set. 180.
I like Taurus.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
We're going to come to you first.
Yeah. That's why I said that, just so you talk to me first.
All right.
So Taurus is a GX. It has 180 HP. It is a colorless type. For 2 colorless, it's Rage, 20, plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Its second attack is trash, don't worry about it. Its third attack is Mad Bull GX, 2 colorless, and this attack does 30 damage times the number of damage counters on this Pokemon, just like Rage, except it's 30 times. But you can obviously only use this attack once per game. I feel like it might not be immediately good, but something will come out that'll let us change damage counters, like the Reniculus from the black-white base set, whether it's a stage 2 or not, or if it's a stage 1. I just think this has got the most. This has a lot of potential. Like Paul was saying, it can swing a game very easily. There's some combination of cards. This one I will keep. And also, have you seen its art? Like, it's like really the hyper rare print. It's like all like ghost white. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it looks pretty sick.
It looks so cool. Yeah, Taurus, yeah.
Alex, you were complaining about Paul's pronunciation, and I think you called it Reniculus instead of Reuniclus, which is the correct pronunciation.
Reuniclus.
And I'm very disappointed in you.
Alex,
Does anyone here,
Rip.
Paul, Dan, do you guys have any different opinions on Taurus GX?
Nah, I mean... Oh, wait, hold on. Yes, I do. Card's trash. Just because someone had to do it. It's been a while since Alex said something. I don't think it's very good because it's weak to fighting. And Zygarde EX still exists, and people are picking up...
Oh, yeah, because that's played a lot.
People are playing Carbon Break a little bit more. Plus, I mean, Mad Bull GX could potentially swing a game for 2 prizes, but Rage probably won't swing for 2 prizes as efficiently or as often. And like, there are enough things in the format that either blow it out of the water or you can just like poke it and then smash it. I mean, it gets Fighting Fury Belt to buff to 220, so it could possibly be worthwhile. Plus, DCE being in the format is a big boon for it. So at least it's compatible with that and kind of splashable. But I wonder if it'll be good without something like Reuniclus from the Black-White set. So anyway, over to you, Dan.
Yeah, I think people used to be able to play around Zekrom and Reshiram when they had like Outrage, and we used to be able to play around them, and they used to be able to damage themselves and up their own Outrage damage, and Taurus can't do that. So I just don't think it's as good. Like Paul said, you can play around it like we used to play around Zekrom and Reshiram. So I think there's ways to get around it, and outside of its GX attack to take 2 prizes late. I just don't think it's worth the space in any deck at the moment, but who knows what the future holds.
Generally, I agree with you guys. I think that Ninja Boy is another card that this card could potentially be used with at the end of the game. Something, maybe it's got 100 or 120 damage on it. You can Ninja Boy into Taurus GX and be hitting for nearly 300 damage.
My boy Bodhi backing up Taurus.
Yeah, two for 2. We got to have 2 goods and 2 bads on each of these cards.
I think that's fair.
If you're going to be playing that in something that plays Ninja Boy, and there's not that much that plays Ninja Boy.
But it's a league promo now.
Speaking of bads,
It's a league promo.
Yeah, Ninja Boy is, I think, the League Cup promo or something coming up.
Speaking
It's a sign.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad cards, Incineroar GX is the next card we're going to be talking about. Incineroar GX is a Stage 2 250 HP fire Pokemon. Its first attack for 1 fire energy does 10 damage plus 20 damage for each basic fire Pokemon on your bench. Fire
Pokemon on the bench?
I don't think it's basic.
It would say it would, but you would have it believe so. But apparently the translation is actually basic and not regular. I'm happy to be wrong with that, but that is what I was told. That the translation is basic Pokemon and not just any fire Pokemon.
How about that?
Well, they just moved it from tier 4 to tier 5.
To non-existent.
Its other 2 attacks are not very good. Does anyone think that this card, taking away the fact that maybe it's just basic, maybe it's not just basic fire Pokemon, does anyone think that this card is actually good?
I just had a quick look at the card, and it doesn't say the word basic on the translation, what I can see here.
Paul saves the day with his moderate knowledge of Japanese.
Damn right.
Does that change the card in any way?
I'd like to start this one, actually, if you don't mind, because I kind of want to transition into... We talked about the Psychic-type Oricorio before, but there's actually a Fire-type Oricorio that was brought out very similarly timed as well. And that one has an attack for 1 fire energy that searches your deck for up to 3 basic fire Pokemon and puts them onto your bench. So I think the card might have potential, and for those who play back in the pre-Heart Gold Soul Silver era, there was a Charizard with a similar effect, or a similar attack, where it was able to do 1 for a lot of damage for each 5 Pokemon on the bench. But, of course, that one had Ninetales when Heart Gold Soul Silver came out, and that Ninetales allowed you to discard a fire energy to draw 3 cards, so it had a bit of an engine going on, and of course the HP cap was a little bit lower. So there is a comparison there, but I don't know if it is as strong. Obviously, we now have Skyfield to potentially push that up to, I believe the number is 170, if I recall correctly. Yep, 20 times 8 plus 10, so 170. And then we get Choice Band eventually, so that would push to 200 for 1, possibly. So I think it has potential, but really only for its first attack, unless we get Blacksmith back at any point. And of course, pairing with the Oricorium has potential because it's a fire type that fuels the damage, and it's a fire type that accelerates Pokemon to your bench, so you have to rely less on the search cards. And because we have so many good search cards at the moment, you can fill up a bench pretty quickly. So some mild potential, might just be a fun deck for now, but I feel like it warrants toying around with it just a little bit especially if Solgaleo were to get a bit more popular, and all these new fire weak things were to get more popular.
Alex, what do you think about having to play Rare Candy in 2017?
But why do you ask this?
Well, you're going to need Rare Candy in this deck.
He's right, you know.
Oh no. Must be lucky you still got trainers mail to make.
Not for long.
Will we have trainers mail afterward?
Might rotate.
Who knows? Maybe we'll have to go back to Skylaring for Rare Candy. Can you imagine? Dan,
Oh my god, 2013 call. Wants its format back.
Dan and
Yeah,
I,
sorry,
as
unless
Blastoise players.
Unless I get to beach first turn, I'm not interested. Then I'll Skylar for Rare Candy if I can beat.
But hey guys, this card can burn things, and that's something we haven't seen in like 4 years. The burn condition.
Yeah.
Burn Incineroar. Burn,
Also,
burn, burn.
There was a Plasma Houndoom that did it.
That'll happen.
No, sorry.
And then they'll just flip tails and it won't matter.
Yeah.
No, they'll flip
Tails
tails
are good
and it won't
effect.
matter.
Yeah.
No, it just did like 120
tails
damage
you
to
get burned.
plasmas. But,
Dan,
yeah,
what do you think about this card deck? Do you think good or bad, Dan?
Oh, it's bad. It's just 10 plus 20 just isn't enough, even with Sky. It's like we have Skyfield, but we have so many counter stadiums in like every deck. Even if like going into the next format, you're going to have forested giant plants everywhere. So it's like the most it's going to do is like 110. And I know that's enough to beat the decks with that need forested. Well, it's actually not, because it's not even enough to knock out Decidua.
choice bands.
So, yeah, but okay. So let's just talk non extras here. It's just not enough even on its own without choice band.
Well, then you have Professor Kukui, which can actually buff damage by plus 20.
Can we just move on?
So we got.
I like how it's like,
We got
let's talk about a bad card, and we'll talk about the bad card more than every other.
I like the bad cards. They're sometimes really fun. Okay.
The next
Stop
card we're
hurting my
going
feelings,
to
Alex.
talk about is Persimmon. Anyway, so Persimmon is a basic fighting type Pokemon. For a double colorless energy, it does bonus damage for every Persimmon on the bench, and when I finally scroll to it, I will tell you exactly how much. It is double colorless, 10 plus 30 damage for each Persimmon on your bench. Now, Team Omnipoke recently put up a video showcasing the deck that ran 4 Persimmon, 3 of the Fates Collide Mew to use its attack, and Oranguru. Never mind. I don't care, Alex. And Shaman EX. Alex, what do you think about Persimmon?
He's not going to answer now.
No. Oh god, I wish we still had Focus Sash.
That is a great point, actually.
But like literally, I
That's the
feel
one
like
thing
just
you need for that to work.
because you don't need a tool, like alright, so alternatively you can pump its damage even higher with like choice band, because like unlike the Incineroar stupid stuff, like, you know, all you need is a basic and a DCE, so you can afford to actually search and dig for a tool. But I think when you're already past like 110, so you're swinging 130 if all 4 of them are there, like upping it to 160, it doesn't really matter. You might as well just keep the 130 and 2-shot things, which is why Focus Sash could actually be legit. And then, considering we've also got like Special Charge now in the format, and we still technically have Puzzle of Time, you could have actually gotten away with a Max Potion, DCE, Special Charge, and Puzzle of Time and just form Persimmons. Like, that could actually be legit. And then we've also got like Buddy Buddy Rescue and Revive. There's a lot of tools that could have made it actually work, but I feel like Focus Sash would have just made that a deck. But since it's not there, I think it's going to be outclassed because it can't trade effectively now against EXs, because although it can 2-shot them, I need to sacrifice almost 2 Persimmons. And you might think, oh, that's fine, but I'll throw up Mew. But it's like, yeah, but you can just Lysandre around stuff anyway. So it kind of defeats the point. At least Focus Sash is really... Because if they Lysandre around the Focus Sasher, that's fine. You're still going to bring it back up next turn anyway. So
Is Bursting Balloon an option for this deck? 110 damage, and the 60 from Bursting Balloon is 170, which does knock out quite a few of the basic EXs in the format.
I would argue Lysandre again, because the Focus Sash would have stayed, regardless if it got moved to the bench or not. Burst Balloon will go next turn, because if you Lysandre around it, then it doesn't stay on the field next turn.
That's very true.
Yeah, and you're going to have heaps of targets to Lysander because they're all going to be sitting there for you to do your damage.
Not only that, but like Karina rotating as well could have helped us a lot. This needed to get released like this type of card. Last format would have been really, really good. Or if they just and then they reprint like strong energy, but then they don't reprint like the stable fighting support, completely removing it from the game. Like, doesn't make sense. Makes me want to drink.
Paul, what is your opinion on Persimmon?
I feel like it's just a bit too weak. I mean, okay, if I understand it correctly, it's 10 plus 30 for each Persimmon on the bench, which would obviously bring it to 100
Oh,
damage
excuse
for
me.
DC.
Yeah, so it caps. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so obviously this card is amazing in pre-release where you don't have the 4 overall, so you can just play like a huge bench of Persimmon and then like hit big numbers, and it's really cheap. But I just think it's too weak in the format. Yeah, so you've got 100, you could hit 110 with the Fighting Fury belt, but then like you've got fighting resistant things. So Evil Tile EX is too short without a Fighting Fury belt, but that's an unlikely scenario. So then you've got Greninja, which will, I suppose might start playing Silent Lab because of the Giratina and inadvertently affects the Mew strategy because you can't use Mewtwo attacks. You've only really got 4 attackers now. I mean, you can bounce the stadium, but how often? And then, of course, we've talked about the fighting support just not really being there. Although, is Persimmon 100 or 90 HP?
110.
110. Oh boy. And I don't think it's a 3 retreat cost, so it's searchable by Ultra Ball, and that's really it. Although, in saying that, you could play Bridget. Might be one of those decks you could get away with Bridget, not too sure. I feel like this is the type of card that would really benefit a lot from. We've seen this in like other card games, but you know, a card that you can play from your hand and an effect where you can copy a card on your field. So, like, if you could play a card that counts as a copy of Persimmon to increase your damage. Yeah, no, I think it's one of those. I think it's a trap, like, to actually play that card. Because it's one of those ones that looks decent in theory, but in practice, just it won't have enough. It might trick some newer or less experienced players into playing it because it's a non-EX or GX. It hits for DCE and it looks like it does reasonable damage, but at the end of the day, the meta game just doesn't really look favorable for it. So I really wouldn't touch it at the moment. As far as cards are concerned, probably wouldn't play around with it unless it got some more support.
All right, guys. The last card we're going to talk about, and it's going to be very brief, is Gumshoes Gx, Stage 1, 210 HP. It is really only good for its ability, and once during your turn, you may look at your opponent's hand. Dan, how important is knowing your opponent's hand in the Pokemon TCG?
Well, I don't know. We managed to do quite okay without knowing what it is at the moment. So, I think it depends on the type of player you are. To me, if you're a more experienced player, I think you kind of have an idea on what your opponent may have in their hand based on what they've used, what's on the field, and the kind of deck they're playing. So if you have knowledge of their hand, unless you can do something about it, I don't think you gain much from... You don't gain a lot from knowing what their hand is, because unless you can end it away or judge it or do something to change that hand, I don't know. If you can't change your decisions, what you're going to do on your side of the board, then I don't know. I'm not sure hand knowledge is... For me personally, I don't think much of hand knowledge. It doesn't play a big part in my game.
Alex, what do you think about this card?
I think it's not just used for its ability. I think its GX attack is actually really, really good. There's lots of things in the game that's going to have 4 energy on it. It's not uncommon for Mewtwo to have 4 energy on it. Giratina needs 4 energy to attack. Sometimes your Vettel has 4 energy. And if this thing was a stage 2, yeah, forget about it. Like, not even close, truly. But it's a stage 1, so much more relevant. You only need to have the Young Goose on the turn, on the bench for 1 turn. I think it can survive 1 turn. And even if they knock it out, it's 1 prize, so that's a waste of time. They want to actually knock this thing out when it's a GX, and then it's 210 HP when it evolves anyway. And then I feel like it's got a threatening GX attack, which your opponent is going to seriously have to play around. Because it's a waste of time to try and bring this thing up and knock it out because you could be attacking with other stuff anyway. But at the same time, you can't overextend onto a single Pokemon for like energy accelerating decks because this thing could just come in at any time and clean up. I know it's a GX attack, but like Paul was saying, the idea is it's supposed to swing momentum, and I think it can. And then the entire time while it's sitting on your bench, you just get to look at your opponent's hand. I think it's actually being overlooked a little bit.
It's an interesting thought. Guys, I want to thank you very much this evening for joining me to our guest.
Yeah, screw your opinion, Paul.
Paul, you got to talk about every other good card and every other bad card. Are you okay with missing Gumshoes
So
Fine.
10
GX?
minutes on Incineroar.
Are you
I
okay with
spent
missing
like
Gumshoes?
5 minutes. Yeah, no, it's
That's
fine.
5 minutes too much.
Okay, give me like 30 seconds. It's
Done.
basically GX attack is good, but it can't be the main attacker. Otherwise, you find yourself hardboiled by things like Greninja. The ability is decent, but why wouldn't I just play something like Serena, where I can look at their hand and discard a card in the same turn? So that's my piece. It's really all I really wanted to say.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, I want to thank you all for joining us this evening on the Scoundrel Ring podcast. To our guest, Daniel Collins, thank you very much for joining us. It was really lovely to have you on and to chat to you.
No, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Dan, before we go, is there anyone you would like to shout out or anything you'd like to say?
Just to everyone who listens to the podcast, if you can make it to Melbourne in March, please go to Melbourne. There is nothing better than meeting new people, and especially given the chance to meet people from around the world without leaving your own country. Just if you can make it to Melbourne, make it. It'll be a great experience.
All right, guys, from myself.
Shout out to all 3 people that listen to this podcast.
Oh, you 3 are the best. We'll never forget you.
Oh, I don't listen to the podcast.
No, me either.
No,
I-
what's a podcast?
I only have to edit it and do all the work for it. I don't need to listen to it. I already know we're smart.
That's fair.
Guys, from myself, from Alex and Paul, and from our guest Daniel Collins, I want to thank you for joining us on the Scoundrel Ring podcast for today, and we will see you guys next time. Goodbye.